Losses of the Russian army on the territory of Ukraine have already exceeded 55,000. This is the data of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. For the second time since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced its losses, almost 6,000, Shoigu said. These figures do not correlate in any way with the Kremlin's plans to mobilize 300,000 Russians. Why so many if the losses are allegedly minimal? Russian citizens doubted the truth of their Ministry of Defense.
People have dreamed all their lives of dying for the palaces of Putin and the yachts of the Rotenbergs. Go to the slaughter. I wonder what happened to the previous 150,000 soldiers.
And the Ukrainian authorities underlined partial mobilization, although there is no sign of any partiality in it. It's just an utilization program.
Regarding the latest statements, Putin's Bermuda Triangle plan, a comprehensive program for the disposal of Russians, evasion of mobilization, prison, Wagner PMC, next Ukrainian front, elimination, White Lada. Alexei Danilov, Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, on Twitter.
Losses through arrests. More than 1,300 Russians, according to human rights activists from Ovada Info, were detained by security forces during protests against mobilization on September 21st. After the slogans "Put into the trenches," the Russians were taken to police trucks and then to police stations. Some were immediately issued subpoenas. Russia also suffered losses on the propaganda front. The exchange of 215 Ukrainian servicemen, including Azov-style defenders of Mariupol, triggered a second, no less violent wave of outrage among Russians, immediately following the news of the mobilization. Even the Kremlin mouthpieces expressed anger in their Telegram channels. However, they quickly exchanged their rhetoric, imitating happiness for the return of the Russian soldiers and Medvedchuk. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine knew that their goal was to reshout mobilization by the exchange. Instead, it only increased the anger of the Russians.
Informationally, the Kremlin tried to break the topic of the exchange with mobilization. This is a traditional, unsophisticated tactic. However, it worked on the contrary. The informational effect doubled had there was no absorption or interruption of the topic. Anna Maler, Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on Telegram.
The announcement of the mobilization led to economic losses. Immediately after Putin's address, the Russian stock market collapsed by 10%. The Russian social network VKontakte and Yandex lost the most in share price. Energy giants Gazprom and Lukoil also suffered. The West considered Russia's decision on mobilization to be a signal of the Kremlin's weakness. Moreover, Putin's traditional nuclear blackmail didn't frighten anyone.
And this reference to nuclear weapons represent an irresponsible and cynical attempt to undermine our steadfast support to Ukraine. These threats jeopardize in an unprecedented scale international peace and security. But they will not shake our determination.
The man is panicking. You see that Ukraine is increasingly able to regain ground. It has conquered large pieces back, although there is still an area as large as Hungary that is still in Russian hands.
That's precisely what Ukraine needs right now, air defense and artillery, so it's good that we are sending a clear signal. This reaction from Putin to Ukraine's successes spurs us on to continue to support Ukraine.
In response to the Kremlin's statements, there were rallies in support of Ukraine. The civilized world has once again become convinced Putin is desperately trying to justify his catastrophic failures, says Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Liz Truss. That is why London has announced even more supplies of weapons for the Ukrainian army. Reported by Roman Smoler, Yulia Bezborodko, UATV News.